Week 7 comes to a close tonight on the doubleheader for Monday Night Football, and we are going to look ahead to week number 8 and find us 5 defenses to stream for week number 8 of the 2025 fantasy football season. Streaming defenses is the biggest edge you can get in fantasy football. There are going to be a lot of people in your league that just play the same defense every single week, regardless of who they are going up against, and that is a very bad move. You are going to have good defenses run into buzzsaws. The Denver Broncos got absolutely smacked up by Jackson Dart and the New York Football Giants, and that is exactly why we stream defense, and I'm going to help you guys get that edge in this video. It's important to note that there are a million teams on bye this week. It is the bye apocalypse. The Detroit Lions, the Raiders, the Rams, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, and the Jaguars are on bye this week. So if you do end up enjoying today's video, hit that subscribe button down below like it owes you some money. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. We begin with my number 1 defense to stream on the week, the Indianapolis Colts going up against the Tennessee Titans at home in Indianapolis. 58.8% rostered over on NFL. For the Colts defense, 49% on Yahoo and 66.8% on ESPN. I will note that if you are on Sleeper, CBS, MFL, any other platform, then the rostership percentage may be slightly different, though in some cases, there could be a drastic difference from one platform to the other. Normally, we do include the Sleeper rostership percentage, but the Sleeper app just wasn't working for me. It wasn't showing me the rostership percentage for any of these defenses. So the Indianapolis Colts versus the Tennessee Titans, I understand that they are much more widely rostered compared to the other defenses that we talk about in today's video. If you're on a 12-team league, it is much less likely that you'll be able to pick up the Indianapolis Colts, or bigger than a 12-team league. But if you're on a 10 or an 8-team league, you definitely may be able to scoop them up. The Colts defense last week up against the LA Chargers in SoFi. They win that game 38-24. A very big win for the Indianapolis Colts. They were up big early, and I understand that the Chargers still scored 24 points, but a lot of that was later on in the game. 3 sacks, 2 INTs, and 24 points allowed for the Indianapolis Colts defense. We need to really start heavily putting much more respect on the name of the Indianapolis Colts defense. They have recorded an interception or more in 6 of 7 games, 9 interceptions so far this season, 2 sacks or more in every single game but 1, and they have yet to allow 30 points. The Patriots defense in week 7 up against the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. We see this is going to be the Mike Vrabel revenge game, but the Titans fire Brian Callahan. Mike McCoy's the interim head coach. Maybe that's going to breathe some life into this offense. Maybe we see that Fugazi one-game boost to the team that we see all the time when a head coach gets fired for one game. The team shows some juice, and then they ultimately end up not having that for the rest of the season. That was not the case up against the Patriots, as the Patriots eat that W, winning 31-13. 5 sacks, 1 INT, 1 fumble recovery, 1 touchdown, and 13 points allowed. Anytime you go up against the Tennessee Titans offense, it is a wet dream matchup. Cam Ward looks lost. He looks in dire need of a map. The whole offense as a whole is completely and utterly limp dick. So the Indianapolis Colts defense here, the best defense to stream on the week, and my number 1 defense overall on the week. Then we move to who they face next week, because I do try to talk about who they're playing next week. Do you want to hold them? Do you want to drop them like it's hot? The Indianapolis Colts face the Steelers in Pittsburgh next week, and with how the Steelers have looked offensively this season, you certainly can rock with the Colts again next week based upon how good the Colts defense has been this season. Then we move to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the New Orleans Saints. 32.3% rostered on NFL, 10% on Yahoo, and 16.8% on ESPN. The Buccaneers face the Lions tonight on Monday Night Football in the first of 2 games. How they look in this matchup doesn't really concern me, as if they get spit roasted by the Lions, no one should be shocked. No one should be surprised if that does end up happening. So we will go back to week number 6 to look at their most recent game. Buccaneers defense, week 6 versus the San Francisco 49ers at home in Tampa Bay. Fire the cannons. W 30-19, 6 sacks, 2 INTs, and 19 points allowed. The Bears went up against the New Orleans Saints at home in Chicago last week in week 7. They win that game 26 to 14. 4 sacks, 3 INTs, 1 fumble recovery, and 14 points allowed. The New Orleans Saints and the Tennessee Titans have been the two offenses that we have been picking on all season long. We have been streaming defenses up against them with great efficiency, regardless of how good the defense even is. So when you have a defense that's as good as the Colts going up against the Tennessee Titans, it feels like the free space on the bingo card, right? When you have the Buccaneers going up against the New Orleans Saints, even if you don't think the Buccaneers have all that great of a defense, it is a free space. Spencer Rattler has looked fine this season. I'm not going to sit here and say that Spencer Rattler has been as bad as last season, but last week up against the Bears was a complete and utter disaster that might make things spiral out of control for him. And again, if Spencer Rattler keeps playing how he's been playing this season, then every defense that gets to go up against the New Orleans Saints, you are going to want on your fantasy team. And the Buccaneers are much more widely available. 32.3% roster on NFL, 10% over on Yahoo, and 16.8% on ESPN. So if you aren't able to get the Indianapolis Colts defense, they are a very nice replacement, a very nice replacement, a nice second place prize at the defensive position. The Buccaneers go on bye after this game, and to me, I don't think the Buccaneers are that great of a defense to where you would want to hold them through the bye and then have two defenses on your team. It's just not worth it. I would drop them after this week. Then we move to the Atlanta Falcons going up against the Miami Dolphins in Hotlanta. 8.3% roster on NFL, 10% on Yahoo, and 18% over on ESPN. Before we do talk about the Falcons defense, though, and the rest of the defenses in today's video, I would like to give you guys a quick word for our friends and our partner over at Underdog. If you're brand new to Underdog and sign up using promo code Notorious, or by clicking on the link in the video description, you will get a free pick plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus funds, as well as if you play $5 in the pick'em, you'll get an additional $100 in bonus funds or in bonus entries. If you don't know how the pick'em works on Underdog, it's incredibly simple. You make at least 2 picks on the higher or the lower. For the players, if both those picks hit, you get paid. If you do multiple other picks, then the payout will be higher, but all of the picks have to hit. Make sure you guys do check that out, promo code Notorious, or by clicking on the link in the video description. Now, the Miami Dolphins are spiraling out of control. The Miami Dolphins offensively is a complete and utter fucking joke. They are a complete and utter joke. And yet, Chris Grier is still employed. He still gets paid to sit there in his nice office with his thumb up his ass, doing nothing to help this team. Tua Tagovailoa is a turnover machine. He might as well work at the bakery, and Mike McDaniel has no answers to any of this. And yet, it's Monday, and everyone still has their job. Why? Because our owner, Stephen Ross, is a certified pussy. Make a move and fire someone. I'm tired of this. I am so tired of this. So, when you get a defense that has played as well as the Falcons have this season at points, I am going to take advantage of the matchup. The Falcons defense, sure, they lose on Sunday Night Football up against the 49ers in Santa Clara. They lose 10-20, but it wasn't the fault of the defense. It's not like the Falcons defense got bent over a table. It was because Michael Penix and friends couldn't really get it going. Bijan was struggling a little bit in that game. I know if you didn't watch the game and maybe you fell asleep because the game wasn't that exciting, I fully understand that. If you just looked at the box score, Bijan had a good box score game. He had a good fantasy day. But actually watching the game, he wasn't as effective as I thought he would be. Drizzy Drake London didn't really get that crazy target share that I thought he would. And, Michael Penix didn't play the best, so that's why they ended up losing. It wasn't because the Falcons' defense was terrible. Again, 1 sack, 1 INT, 20 points allowed. The reason why we love the Falcons' defense this week is because the Dolphins' offense is legitimately inept, and they legitimately, in my opinion, look like they gave up. They tapped. They called uncle. It's over. It's over. Why bother even caring anymore? As a fan of the team, I certainly don't. I hope that the Falcons absolutely destroy us, personally. That is my hope. The Browns defense looked like the fucking 85 Bears against us. They win 31-6, 4 sacks, 3 INTs. 2 of them that were just so bad. So bad. 1 fumble recovery, 1 touchdown, 6 points allowed. One of them kind of bounced off A-Chain's hands. That was bad too, though, because he threw it way too high for A-Chain, who's like 5'9", probably. I don't know his exact height, but he's not a big guy. He's not Odell, right? You shouldn't be throwing it up like that and expecting him to reach back like 1-3 and bring that back. So 4 sacks, 3 INTs, 1 fumble recovery, 1 touchdown, 6 points allowed. What is there to say positive about the Dolphins? The answer is nothing. They are a dumpster fire, and the Falcons defense are going to take great advantage of that. The Falcons face the Patriots in Foxborough next week. I think they're fine to play in that game, but I also don't think they will be a defense that I will bang the drum for next week. So if you wanted to switch, that would be fine with me. Then we got the San Francisco 49ers at the Houston Texans, 62.2% roster on NFL, but 15% on Yahoo and 10.7% over on ESPN. So this is a clear case of, hey, one platform has them rostered significantly more than the other ones. So the 49ers defense, week 7 versus Atlanta, they win 20-10, 2 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, 10 points allowed. I understand that the 49ers defense definitely has not lived up to expectations. They're definitely dealing with a lot of injuries. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the 49ers are the most feared defense in the NFL. They are far from it. But in reality, the Houston Texans offense is way too shaky for me to not feel at least remotely okay. I'm not able to get the other defenses just rolling them out there. Again, this is a defenses to stream video. The Colts defense, I love them. The Bucs defense, I love them. Then there's a bit of a tier break, right? Then we get a little bit lower because I know deep down the Dolphins, even though they've given up, we've seen them put up 30-plus point games this season, so maybe that happens against the Falcons, but Tua will probably still take 5 sacks to the face like his name was Bonnie Blue. He'll probably still throw an interception or 2. Why have one when you can have both? So they're just a little bit of a tier down, right? And then the 49ers are a further tier down than that, and then we'll talk about the 5th defense that, to me, it's kind of just like YOLO, F it, we're going to stream this defense, which you can probably just see in the timestamps, the Bengals, who we're going to talk about, just because of who they're going up against. So the 49ers going up against the Houston Texans. Again, I think that CJ Stroud is a talented quarterback. I love Nico Collins. I think he is one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League level, but just having a great quarterback, just having a great wide receiver isn't always the best recipe for success for a team. They do have a very good defense, but if the offensive line is as much of a joke as they have been this season, then I think the 49ers can take full advantage of that. Now, the Texans play tonight on Monday Night Football in the second game up against Seattle, so we have to go back to week number 5 to look at their most recent opponent's defensive performance, since they were also on bye in week number 6, so we're going like a decade ago back to week number 5, which really does feel like a year ago. It's almost the end of October. The start of the season was like 2 months ago at this point. The Ravens defense gets absolutely cream pied by CJ Stroud and friends. They lose 10-44, 2 sacks and 44 points allowed. Just not up to snuff. But again, the Ravens defense has been a disaster this season, so I do think the 49ers, again, will be able to take advantage of the bad offensive line play, which will lead to CJ Stroud making mistakes. Then we got the final defense here, the break glass in case of emergency defense, the YOLO defense, the, you know what, maybe it just might work. The Cincinnati Bengals going up against the New York Jumbo Jets, 35.3% roster on NFL. How is that possible? How are the Bengals rostered in 35% of leagues? That makes no sense. Who has the Bengals defense, right? 2% on Yahoo and 2% on ESPN. Now, Aaron Glenn said this morning on Monday that the team has yet to decide who plays quarterback this week yet. Is it going to be Justin Fields, Mr. Take 8 years to get rid of the ball and get sacked a million times? Or is it going to be Tyrod Taylor? We shall see. Bengals defense, week 7 up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mr. Discount, double check. Aaron Rodgers, they win 33-31. Joe Flacco is the GOAT. 2 interceptions and 31 points allowed. Again, the Bengals defense is just not good at all. The Bengals defense is one of the biggest laughing stocks in the NFL. So the only reason why you are streaming them is really just because they're playing up against the Jets, right? If you put them up against a majority of other teams in the NFL, I'm not going to sit here and talk about the Cincinnati Bengals for more than 5 seconds defensively. I'll just say that they're dog shit, but you can take advantage of the Jets matchup. The Panthers defense, I don't think they're all that good. Up against the Jets in MetLife, they win 13-6. 6 sacks, 2 interceptions, 6 points allowed. Now, if you are the Bengals defense, I think you would prefer, if you roster the Bengals, you have to play them this week, you break the glass in case of emergency, I think you want to go up against Fields instead of Tyrod. Because again, Fields just has no internal clock, right? He needs that clock that rabbit holds up in all those memes, if you know what I'm talking about, right? He just stands there and it's like there's just no one there, right? Like it's impossible for him to get hit. That must be what he's thinking in his mind, because he's just standing there and no one's open, right? So instead of just, throwing the ball away or throwing it at someone's knees, throwing it at the ground, he's just like, fuck it. Let's stand there and then maybe someone will get open, right? But the Jets offensive line crumbles like a cookie and he just gets sacked a million times. So if you do have to roster the Bengals defense, you're going to be hoping it's going to be Justin Fields instead of Tyrod. But even Tyrod, like, he'll do some stupid shit too, but at least he's trying. Like, it doesn't even seem like Justin Fields is trying. He's just got his payday and he's just happy to be there, right? He just seems, giddy that he got paid by the Jets. So that's my opinion on the Bengals defense. Again, I don't think they're that good. I just think the matchup is very fruitful up against the Jets. The Bengals defense is nowhere near good enough to play them up against a majority of the teams in the NFL. It is really just select matchups like this one up against the Jets that get me excited. They're facing the Bears next week. And I get, Nick, oh man, the Bears offense didn't look the best. Did you watch the game? Caleb Williams didn't play that good. Roma Dunze scored like 6 fantasy points, Nick. I know. But again, the Bears offense have the ability to turn things up to the maximum, so there's no fucking way you're playing the Bengals up against the Chicago Bears. Thank you guys all so much for watching today's video. If you ended up enjoying, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below like it owes you some money. Leave a like on today's video. It helped me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter or X, please do so at NotoriousFNTSY. So without further... Oh, I almost hit my intro. So without further ado, so thank you guys so much for watching. I genuinely do love you guys so much. Thank you for all of the support this season. Hope you have a great one. And as always, we'll be back later with a waiver wire video. Good boy.